Hi, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Tips. I am Michael Barber. Really happy to be joined by none other than Lynn Ellis this morning to talk about all things search engine optimization or SEO for school leaders. I just want to welcome you all in. As always, this is Tuesday Tips on our channel here at Grow Schools. We're here every Tuesday, usually about 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, talking challenges facing school leaders. Lynn, it's lovely to have you here. Appreciate you making some time for us. How are you today?
I'm doing okay, thanks.
Perfect. Well, we'll hop right in. No need to waste anyone's time and talk about SEO for schools. First, let's define that term SEO, search engine optimization, and what does it mean for schools? Why is it so important?
Well, it's a big buzzword out there, and it's a big concept out there. But basically, it means helping Google know who you are and return your site in search results. So it's important because you want to make sure that your school is findable. So if you have a parent that is out there who's looking for a STEM middle school for their child, and they type STEM middle schools near me, you want your school to come up if you fit that bill. And if you're not coming up, that is a problem for you and for your enrollment. So it's
Yes.
a way to help Google understand who you are, Google and other search engines, but we kind of focus on Google because that's what most people use. But just have them understand who you are and why you're relevant and why you're a trustworthy organization and why they should return you on the first page. And there are only 10 spots on the first page in a Google search. You want to be one of those 10 spots.
Yeah, and so important. I think you're shared in a stat that's coming on a blog post on our website at growschools.com in a few days or perhaps today. Just the stat in terms of when parents or kids start their journey looking for a school, what's the average percentage that start on Google or other search engines? I think you mentioned it was somewhere between like 70 to 90% of school searches start their journey at a search engine.
Yeah, I don't recall the actual number, but it's pretty high, and it got higher during COVID because
Yeah.
we got used to looking for everything online during COVID. We shopped for our groceries, um, pretty much everything that we needed, we shopped for online, and that translates to shopping for schools online too.
Yeah, so important because of that reason. Can you give some good examples of simple strategies that schools can implement to improve their SEO? What's working for school leaders right now when it comes to SEO?
Okay, so when thinking about this question, and for this article I just wrote for the Grow Schools website, I wanted to think about what is low cost in terms of staff time and money expenditure, because those are the two things that really keep schools from doing things, right? You don't have the time, you don't have the money. So what small steps can you take without a lot of time or money to optimize your digital presence? The first is just optimizing your content. Is it relevant? Is it targeted to your audience? One of the first things I would challenge every school leader to do is go to your website and see if the grade levels that you serve are findable within 5 seconds. They need to be. Those simple things so that Google knows what grades you serve and the parents know what grades you serve. Um, And then putting in meta titles and descriptions, which is a little more technical, but most website platforms have a pretty straightforward way to do it. And so whether you do your website in-house or you outsource it, there's a relatively simple method for putting in a title on a page that tells Google this is what the page is about and gives a 120 character description of the page. It really helps Google. The meta description comes up in the search, so it helps the people who are searching to know exactly what that page is about.
Yeah, that's like that
Um,
blue title right at the top and then the black text that's falling underneath it in the results. Okay.
Mobile-friendly design. We're seeing with schools that up to 70-75% of the traffic is coming from mobile. That is higher than across all industries standard. The standard across all industries is about 50%. But we're seeing with schools 70 to 75. If that website doesn't look good on mobile and isn't easy to navigate on mobile, people are off the site, and you've just lost a potential family coming into your school community. Local SEO focus. Make sure that your Google business listing is accurate, that people know where you're located, that there's some good pictures there, that when they pull up your school, if they're searching by name, they're getting really good information from the business listing. That's free. You claim it, you own it, and you put your information there. Creating content, regular content development, just having a blog section. Blog posts do not need to be long. 300 words on one simple topic about your school. You are telling your school story. You're doing it in small chunks, but you're doing it so that Google knows that this is a site that people are maintaining and they're putting new information out there. It builds trust with Google, and you need Google to trust you because they kind of hold the keys to your digital kingdom. And optimizing images, this is a big thing. If you're, go ahead and load up your school website on a browser where it's not cached. So use an incognito browser or a computer that you haven't looked at your website on previously or recently. See how long it takes to load. If you're not optimizing it so that it loads quickly, people on the internet tend to have very short attention spans. So your pictures need to be small file size, they need to load quickly, and you need to have alt text. And that alt text is just a description of an image so that if somebody is on a screen reader, they are visually impaired and they can't see, so somebody's reading to them, they need to know what the picture is about. You need to let them experience the pictures and what they say about your school with everyone else. It's also an issue of accessibility. So for schools, you're on the line, you have to have accessible websites and social media. So that's just a good practice. And making sure that those pictures are recent, relevant, engaging, kids look happy, kids are learning. All those things really matter for returning in search results, and then for people staying on your site. The longer they stay on the site, the more Google says, "Oh, this is a good site. We should keep returning this in search results." So it's that constant building of trust. So those are things that don't take money. You don't have to hire an expert to do those. They do have a little investment of time, but not a huge. You don't need a one FTE to do your SEO for your school.
Yeah, for sure. And you talked about meta titles, meta description. In years past, SEO experts, there was a third part here, which was meta keywords. Now, my understanding is actually putting in your meta keywords is not necessarily important from a metadata perspective, but keywords themselves are still important for potentially like local search results, right? So talk about how schools should use keywords in copy, whether it's blog posts or other content on their site, to effectively help them boost their search engine optimization rankings.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, let me just start with a definition of keywords, not assuming that people know. That's another kind of buzz term out there. So I looked it up in the Oxford English Dictionary, and it says in this context, it's an informative word used in an information retrieval system to indicate the content of a document. So basically, you are putting words into your content on your website to tell Google what you're about. And that's important because back to the example of a parent looking for a STEM middle school for their child, STEM needs to be a keyword. That needs to be in multiple places on your site. You don't just say something once and assume that Google knows that that's important. So you put it in there a lot of times so that Google says, oh, this school is really all about STEM. Same thing if you're an art school or something like that. So you're going to want to use words like, if you're a tuition-free charter school, you want tuition-free and charter school in multiple places on your site. Those are keywords. It's what people are looking for. When I talked about grade levels, making sure people can find them in 5 seconds, grade levels are important. If somebody's looking for a middle school, Google needs to know your middle school. So start thinking about the terms that define your school. Those are the terms that need to be all over your site, that are the keywords that people are searching for. Think about somebody looking for your school. What do you want them to, if they're searching for certain things and you want them to find your school, what are those things? Start writing them down. What makes your school special? Do you have project-based learning? Do you have a great STEM program? Do you have an incredible arts department? Do you do theater productions with your elementary school students? Are there tons of field trips? Do you have competitive sports? Do you have transportation? Are you the safest school in the area? Are you ranking high academically? Those are the keywords then that you need to make sure are peppered through your content. Those drive your blog posts, a blog post about project-based learning, a blog post about the clubs at your school. That just helps to make sure that if somebody is looking for that particular feature, they're finding your school.
Yeah, and in years past, I remember when I started my career many, many, many eons ago, you could just throw those keywords obviously into copy. But Google these days is smart enough, as are all the search engines, that it needs to feel like it is contextually relevant to the copy that you're actually writing on the page, correct? Okay.
Right,
Um,
right.
what are some tools out there that can help school leaders analyze or improve their SEO? And I know there's a bunch of free and paid options, but some easy ones that potentially school leaders could leverage, I think, would be helpful.
Well, first of all, just start with Google Analytics. You can learn. So I'm a data nerd. I'm a former math teacher. Love statistics. Give me any set of data and ask me to analyze it. And here are my research questions. I'm a happy camper. So Google Analytics, I love. But you can learn so much just from Google Analytics, which for some website platforms is just right there on the back end of the website. You don't actually have to go anywhere else. It's free. You claim your school's listing. You get a baseline. You look at what pages are getting the most traffic, and you start to ask yourself why. Right? What is it about that page that's getting me traffic? There are a couple tools out there for looking for keywords. One that I like is Answer the Public. And you can do some free searches out there, but if you notice on Google, in the last several years, I can't remember when it started, but when you search for something, more and more people search by question than ever before. People used to search by a word or two, and they just ask questions. And I think that started with asking Siri. You ask Siri a question, and you learn to just ask questions of search, right?
Those voice searches that impacted us right there.
Yes. And so with Answer the Public, you can look at the questions people are asking search engines. And so you can put in a word, middle school, and you can see what people are asking about middle schools. Now that's a pretty broad term, and you're going to get stuff all over the map. The more you can narrow it down to something really specific and relevant, you can get some really incredible questions that you can then answer in a blog post, or just make sure that your homepage answers that question. And when you pull up the search, you'll see websites, but you'll also see a list of like 4 or 5 questions and little snippets of answers to those. If you can answer a question really well and you've optimized the SEO on your site to the point where Google trusts you, you may be one of those 4 answers. And people tend to trust things that are high in the results, or things that Google says this is a good answer. It must be true. Even though we've been told don't believe everything Google tells you, we still really trust Google. So Answer the Public is a good tool for that. You can do 3 free searches a day. You get a whole list of questions. And that can kind of drive your next step in content. And then you go back to Google Analytics and you see what's working. Did that work? Did we get traffic there? Are we increasing the traffic to our site? Are we increasing the amount of time people spend on the site?
Yeah, so Google Analytics was the first one. Answer the Public was the second one. I dropped the link to Answer the Public into our chat. So if you're wondering how to access that, the resource that Lynn mentioned, you can click on that link or just visit answerthepublic.com. We're coming up on time, Lynn, but last question. really let's bring this one home. Some examples of how schools have leveraged SEO successfully. What sort of impacts have you seen out there for schools that have done this well, that have put in the work and the results that they're seeing?
Well, this is one thing that we do when a school partners with us in enrollment marketing. One of the first things we do is we start to work on the SEO of their site. And the schools, I've had the privilege now of having schools back for the second, and this year I have a third year school that have continued to work with us. And what they tell me is people are finding us. People are going to our website. We're continuing to see traffic to the website because they're continuing the practices that we start for them. So continuing a blog section that we have started for them, adding to it, you don't have to add to it weekly, once a month, once every 6 weeks, when something happens, as long as things are being updated on the site. And so we're modeling those practices, but we're also empowering the schools to take it over from and do the next step of it. I'd say a school that starts to implement some of these 8 tips I write in the article, they're going to see results. Understand that SEO is not an overnight thing. That you don't start a blog section, add your meta titles and descriptions and optimize your pictures, and a week later you're ranking #1 in Google. You're playing a long game, but the schools that invest that time and have the mindset of, I want to make sure that all content on my site is relevant, meaningful, tells the story of my school, and is findable to prospective parents, they're going to see that ranking go up and up and up over time. So it's you gotta be in it for the long haul. But we definitely see that success with those schools, and every single one of them I've seen come back has said that they are seeing the difference a year later, 2 years later.
Yeah, SEO is certainly a long game, whether you're a school or any other brand for that matter. Such incredible tips, Lynn, on SEO for school leaders. We appreciate the time. We've gone to almost 20 minutes, which is double our normal time, but such good information from you. We appreciate your contributions and hope you'll come back again for another Tuesday Tips in the near future. As for sure, we'll have you back sometime in the next couple of weeks. But for those school leaders who have stuck around for the 20 minutes, again, we're here every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday Tips right here live on our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/grow schools. And if you need more information on us, we are at growschools.com. Lynn, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you all next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.